Welcome to Still Plays Galaxy of Heroes. We're back with Grand Arena, the second match of Week 1, Season 31. This one's coming out late. I need to re-record the audio. The music levels were completely off, and it was just better to scrap it, record over it. So it delayed this, had some cascading effects, and I didn't really have time to record until now. It's been a pretty busy September. You've probably seen the drop in videos for me over the past couple weeks. Hopefully we're getting past that and we're going to be much more quickly increasing the output. We'll be talking over the footage. We'll see how it goes. It might not match up completely. I'm going to have to remind myself how some of these things went, but we should have most of what was there. So we won the first match, but the first match was by a default win. It was pretty decisive one. We had a lot of testing. We did 7 solos. It was a pretty interesting video. We were able to test a few things like the Savage Army, Hutt Cartel. Unfortunately, I kept forgetting that I had Radis. So we didn't do any Radis testing. Admiral Radis, that is, in the Rogue One. So 2,000, and it was a default win. Now we'll see how this will match up. My opponent here is Maximus. He is with 6 GLs. Zetas are pretty low considering how many GLs that he has. Looking at the rest of this bracket, though, he is the higher end as the number of GLs. But I believe he mixed up his strategy. He puts some GLs on defense, some on offense. In terms of mod quality, he's pretty good. Not too far behind me in either the top 25 or the top 500, and a really respectable count at the 250. Really good depth in his mods as well. Looking at the Datacrons, we're more evenly matched. It's something I've been placing a lot more effort and emphasis on this past week and moving forward, because it's been proven out to be pretty decisive, especially those level 9 Datacrons. They're really going to make a big effect. So you can see where we lay out based on speeds. I'm not in control of the scrolling right now. This is just video footage, so I'm not even remembering what I'm going back. I'm probably looking at some of the other opponents and where we're matching up. Omicron's, my current opponent, Maximus here, is matched up with me. The other guys are a little bit lighter on the Amis. See, nobody else has Melgus. My opponent doesn't have Starkiller, but other people in the winner's bracket do. My opponent does have Maul, a couple other people don't. It's an interesting mix. I mean, this is Kyber 3. It's still kind of shaking out. Kyber 2's, hold on a second. Alright, we're just moving back and forth between scenes depending on where the video footage is at. So here is where the speeds line up for this opponent. I'm going to have to remind myself exactly where he was. So his cat is at 317 speed. Hopping back in here. Cat's at 317. I'm going to look at a couple of these characters. Mara Jade is still pretty fast, I think at 309. As you can just see the amount of depth he has here. Whereas I've spread out my mods much more than I probably should have, but I like how I've done it. I just want to improve what I have, not move them around. Most of you probably disagree with me. The Bastille Fallen here is 301. So you can just see he has a lot of 300 speed characters. Just 4 or 5 rows worth of them. Which is a big advantage over my roster. Looking at the defense. Oh no, the Hotbot first, that's right. So with the Hotbot, decent sized guild, slightly larger than mine. Clears not too far off from me, or the undersizes, which means I don't have as much wiggle room as I do with a lot of other opponents. He's going to be pretty tough in those areas. the other issue, the biggest issue is really going to be relics and relic levels. He's pretty good there. We'll hit that in a second. The depth is fine. Like, this guy is really, his weakest spot is maybe his Zetas, but he's got 6 GLs. It's really just he's gonna be missing some GLs or Zetas that I have, but otherwise it doesn't really matter. Decent relic distribution. You can see the number of 8s and 7s he has. I'm gonna look at those GLs and their mods. I only have an advantage on JMK. And as we move down below, really the advantages that we're seeing is I've got Melgus and he doesn't. Let's move forward. There's not too much to parse here. Apparently I'm still talking the original footage. With the defense, he started attacking before I did, and I don't think he was done. I think this was the middle of his attack. So Tuscan's got a hold, which is a surprise, but I'm happy with it. Bosk gets a hold. So my defense did its job. Very effective. A number of teams I wasn't anticipating got holds. I believe another one here on this territory picked up one. Yes, the Nute team, that's another bit of a surprise. I would have thought some of those other teams. Melgus, Datacron, only at level 8 there. I have it at level 9 now during the off week. I just really focused on Datacrons during Conquest and made sure to get to level 9, but I don't have the squad or the Siths at the right relic levels to take advantage of it. Something I still don't because I'm working on the profundity. And I can't right now sacrifice the resources, particularly the signal data, to get additional characters to higher relics and also make sure I'm ready for the profundity in time. Now that Chrysanthemum is farmable, that's going to delay that a little bit more. I think I'm going to take Chrysanthemum to 5 stars, then shift back to signal data for like a week, then go back to Chrysanthemum farming. Because we'll have plenty of time. I love those Cantina farms. Hopefully we see Bosch and Lando have similar. So we have a hold up top. Everyone else is probably going to go down, but Padme getting that hold is nice. And we had I think it was the protection upper. No, I think it was the turn meter data crown that I put on her. Fleet. Who knows? We can't see a number of attempts, but it looks like he hasn't gotten to it yet. Now, with what I've got to deal with, some of the stuff is workable. It's a decent defense. Maul, Nute, Dooku, Grievous, Qui-Gon. In the lower territory, this is the problem. We're looking at CLS, Padme, Rey with a Datacron. And then the biggest issue is JML and JMK. And we've seen this in Grand Arena after Grand Arena, that my particular roster struggles up against the Jedi GLs, especially with these Datacrons, because it takes me using some of my best stuff. And Rey with Datacrons is way more of a nuisance. My Star Killer is kind of close, but I would be better if I had increased relic levels. So this is an uphill battle for me. This is why I really want Sith Eternal Emperor, but also why I'm holding back. I'm probably going to go to Jabba. I still haven't watched any Jabba footage. We're going to do all this stuff late, but I do want to just give some thoughts on Jabba before I familiarize myself with him, so you can just see what I was thinking beforehand. I don't know how much value that has, but I think it's interesting. At least, though, I believe Jabba is going to be pretty effective up against JMK. So we jump into this. We're going to switch the views now. We will in a moment. Actually, we're not, because unfortunately I didn't unpause. in the footage, which sometimes I do because I'm pausing and unpausing, and sometimes I don't catch it. Unfortunately, it happened on a GL battle. You can see, though, from the number of banners, that was a loss. We're just going to move on into the next battle where I go up against Rey, but we're in a bad position now because my JMK counter didn't work. So me getting through these Galactic Legends and this defense is pretty much unlikely unless Starkiller... No, it's pretty much impossible at this point. So we're going to be shifting into a testing mode after we do a couple more of these battles. So starting off with Starkiller, going up against Rey, I thought this was going to go a little better. I think I put a Datacron on, but it wasn't even a great Datacron. I have much better Datacrons for him now, during the Conquest period, putting those on. I think I even just... I don't know. This does not go well. I think I misplay it. I think I thought I had a better chance than I did. Or maybe it just goes poorly for me. I forget exactly how it goes. I just remember that I lost. Probably should be going after Quill, but he's got lifeblood, so I didn't want to deal with it. And Rey just doesn't move lifeblood over there, which I was kind of hoping for. You see, I'm singularly focused on it. And I could pull down the Star Destroyer, but I haven't triggered the healing or the damage immunity. So I know this isn't going to really work out great for me. So I decide I'm just going to wait and hope I get a better shot. This is not good. None of this is good. Something where I will be increasing relic levels on all these characters, but particularly Starkiller. Especially because as a low GL player, having these non-GL counters is really important. And Starkiller most of all, especially once Swallow comes into the game, I think Starkiller is going to become even more important. Because you're going to need to take out Swallow and Rey simultaneously in order to win. So there's not too many ways to do that. Starkiller is going to be one of those characters who's going to be capable of doing it. Maybe it won't prove out to be the case, but at least on paper, he's got a shot. And we're probably going to see like Relic 10 soon. I go for it, but you're just going to see the damage is nothing. We're not where we need to be. I'm sure I misplayed this throughout, too. I'd really like to practice the Grand Arena Omicrons. Now, as we move into these other battles, I don't think I did any more dumb things. No, that's the next match. That's 1.3. But after those two losses, a win is impossible. This is now where we shift into a full-on test mode, and we just have fun with this. This is a pretty dumb and fun... I don't know about fun. It's a dumb and frivolous Grand Arena for me, where I just go and do some testing. I don't even think I do this battle. We might just skip ahead in the footage. I think we might increase the speed on the footage too. There's no reason to really dwell on a lot of this. Yeah, we skipped ahead. We're going to do another Rey battle. I'm going to throw in Gas. Gas isn't a 3v3 counter to Rey, but I just wanted to give it a shot. Mainly because Quill and IG-11 aren't... Maybe they're not a 5v5 pair for Rey, really. So I was hoping... maybe in 3v3 they're great with her. But it's a less common one. I was hoping that we would get something out of these guys. And I shouldn't have done tenacity up then with the turn meter, but sometimes what you see from me is after a couple losses, I get a little sloppy. Like I get loose and I'm not paying as much attention to what I'm doing. My focus shifts, and that's what I would credit that decision to, or that oversight. Because really you want to save the speed up, the form up, for when Gas is on his knees. But it doesn't really matter. He's not a 3v3 counter. And you can see how apparent that is. Yeah, this was like the Hail Mary. Because if this worked, maybe we counter JML with JML and then try something up against JMK. Because JMK is soloable with Wampa if it's Wampa versus JMK. I would have to get rid of Cat, though. That would have been the difficult part that I hadn't figured out, but that was the path forward there. Or what I was going to just try and take a stab at. But that's gone. So we're just going to shift into playing with the new toys. Those were all one shot. Like, I did not have too much of a chance up against this opponent. I don't even remember exactly what we did. This was another thing with like Savage. I wanted to test out that Omicron again. I wanted to test out Inquisitors, Hutt Cartel. Just again, like with round one, I kept forgetting that I should be testing out Radis. I do a bunch of other things, not Radis. Yeah, so we got CLS here. And I believe this is where I did Savage, isn't it? Yeah, it is. Okay. This was just me trying something. Vader up against CLS, not a great idea, but paired with the Datacron and with Savage, what I was trying, because normally these counters are going to rip Vader apart. But now I have Savage, and Savage is going to make a nice difference here. And behind Resilient Defense, Talon's nice because you don't have to use that turn to stealth. Instead, you can just use the basic and keep moving back to her ability that was it Dark Frenzy or something? I forget what it's called. And just get more stacks. But this is a Gear 12 Savage, and you can see that we take a really nice pounding. I'm really happy with this Omicron. It's going to be great at Relics, but for it to stand up to CLS, a Relic CLS squad, this is a great result for me. Like, I'm very happy with that. Not something I'm going to rely on. Again, really using Vader in that kind of way is not recommended. But it's still a nice result, and I think we still would have been able to win with a different combination of Sith characters. This is something that I just wanted to take a shot at. I wanted to check the power level on Malak. At the relic levels of this Padme, we got relic 8 on her. This is not something I'd like to do with my Malak at relic 5. This is more something at relic 7 or higher I'd be more comfortable with. But I want to stress test these things to just confirm that thinking, and that's basically what we see here is a confirmation that relic 5 is not nearly enough. Yeah, it's just the courage is going to be a problem. The foresight is super annoying. And we don't have the damage. We never get the work done. And now that the 3 easy drain lives are done, we're stuck on cooldowns, and we're it's going to be a lot harder to recover our health like we had been in the earlier parts of this match. And I wasn't stuck behind resilient defense there. I should have attacked Padme or someone else. We have a lot more fun up top. This is just, I want to try anything fun we can do. What do we go for? Hutt Cartel. This is partly because the relic levels are a little worrisome, but the specific team is not as problematic. In round 1, I used Mob Enforcer, not Chrysanthemum, and that did not go well. They were just ripped apart. So this time we use Chrysanthemum. This works much better. I think this is going to be much closer to the viable 3v3 team. Especially with how weak these guys are, especially at low stars. Chrysanthemum is really important to keeping Bosch and Screed's Lando here alive. So you really need to do the, what's his name? I can't believe, what's the name of that stuff right now? Yeah, I can't remember this stuff right now. The Bib Fortuna ability. You need to do the Bib Fortuna ability because that's going to allow Screech here to double hit on the basic and get more stacks of deep cover faster. And I spent a lot of time using the squad in Galactic Challenge to try and get myself more familiar with here. And that's the big benefit. But without taunt, we lose Bosch. So from here, it falls apart. This is too bad. Speed's going to be pretty important on this squad. Stars, too. But at least for the final week of Grand Arena, we will have at least a 4-star Chrysanthemum. We might be able to even push that to 5. We'll see how lucky we get on the drops. There's enough days where I think it's a possibility. Inquisitors, Gear 12 up against Qui-Gon. Obviously, this isn't going to work, but I want to get a feel for it. In 3v3, I think 7th and 9th Sister is the way to go. Is 9th Sister... Let's follow suit. 9th Sister is not that tanky and really relies on 7th Sister to stay alive. And I like how 7th Sister assists. But without relics, not really a super threatening squad. I do have them at Relic 5, though I took them up to relics for the assault battle right after sign up with this. I wanted to get one final week of Gear 12 testing. But at least with the assault battle, you can beat the mythic tier without relics, but challenge tier 1 you need. Really, I was finding like relic 4, relic 5, particularly relic 5 on 9th Sister, because once you get to wave 6, the Yoda wave, they just rip apart 9th Sister, and you need to have those extra levels to make sure she stays alive. So the Inquisitors did okay. They took some hits. At Relics, I think that might work. Gear 12 obviously wasn't going to, but it did better than I thought. I don't think we do any testing here. I think Radis would have been worth doing up against Nute, or the Duke, not the Nute because Django's there, but the Dooku at least. Okay, so I think we're going to attempt a Fennec solo here. This is because Fennec solos are great, but you need to be very particular about where you use her. She's very vulnerable to control abilities, stuns, turn meter removals, people with multiple hits. So this is another stress testing match where I want to be like, okay, what can she handle in a solo capacity? This was an uphill battle. We're stuck behind taunts. We don't have cleanses. We're not going to get around. We have Django is going to be scary. We got healing immunity. But of the remaining matches, that was where I wanted to do the test. Okay, now I think this is where we shift into, let's clear the territory and move into ships mode. We're just going to use the real weapons, beat some squads, move on. Just clear whatever we can for this match. Because we just can't compete up against Maximus's 6 GLs. So it's how I like to handle these. If I'm going to lose, let's at least make it an educational opportunity, learn some lessons. Test new squads, stress test, whatever we can. I have no idea what I talked about in this original video. I'm not going to talk about Andor. I watched the episodes, but I'm going to save that for a later video because Andor had not come out at the time of this video. This is a really irrelevant thing to even bring up. But I think what I was talking about, if I talked about any show during this, it would have been, probably would have been Rings of Power. I was really enjoying Rings of Power through the first 3 episodes. I guess probably would have talked about She-Hulk too. But Rings of Power, I have not finished episode 4. Something happened in episode 4 where it just really completely turned me off. I think I only maybe watched 15 minutes or so, and I was just kind of out. It was all this stuff on Numenor. Like when the king of Numenor or the regent or whoever the guy was, the husband of the regent, when he says like drinks for everybody, and they're like in a town square and then people come out with trays. I was just like, what is this? It's like there's no logic to how the characters were operating in those scenes, and it was just characters at least need to operate within the internal logic of a world, and they were not doing that. I was fine with I was starting to get into the Harfoot stuff. I was into all the things with the elves and the orcs. That stuff was all fine. I was really liking Galadriel at first, and the stuff with Numenor, the guy, the man who is in jail with her, like all that stuff was fine. And then we hit episode 4, and just a bunch of things happen where it's just. I completely made me stop believing in the world. Hopefully that's just a fluke. We'll make my way through it, but I stopped it and didn't return. She-Hulk, though, I really like She-Hulk. I just want to like it more than I do. I think where I'm at with it is it's not funny enough. Like, it has a lot of like sitcom structure, sitcom humor, but it doesn't lean into it. I'd rather it be like a joke a minute kind of structure, and instead it's the jokes are like few and far between, even though it's trying to be a little bit more of a comedy. It's a little too much network sitcom in like a CBS in like a derogatory way, because I think you have network sitcoms like Community or Arrested Development, and those are goated level. Um, but this one, I like all the actors. I like what they're doing with it. I just want more. I want the show to demand more from itself. Like, if you're going to be a comedy, be a comedy. I forget, did this go well or bad? I don't remember. Yeah, that's what I thought. This went bad. So what I needed to do here was I needed to mark Maul first, but for whatever reason I was being an idiot and I didn't. And I went after Bo because Bo was doing the recovery. But this is what I was saying earlier in the video, where sometimes I get in these modes where I'm just not paying attention to what I'm doing, and I pay for it. And what I should have been doing was mark Maul, take him out, and we'd have been fine. A really dumb mistake. It actually makes this video far longer than it needs to be, because getting through Maul is going to be a complete pain at this stage. This would work much better if I had relics on any of them. It was really just not even worth trying, but I gave it a shot. I don't even remember how I got through this. I think we're going to skip ahead. We're watching video. You don't need to watch me deliberate. We'll watch this because I did it. But this, I don't believe, goes well. The idea here is basically just that we can ignore the taunt. We've got dispels. We got things here. And you can see, like, maybe at higher relic levels this would have worked. Maybe if I would have used the basic. But as soon as Maul gets to go again, he's going to be able to do all the recovery that he wants. You can see it happening. Yeah, I remember this battle. I'm never going to get as close as I was. Like, Relic 7, we would have won it. But never again. I believe this was a timeout. Like, they can't take me out either. I think I even try and go after Bam for a little bit. But Bam's going to be able to recover his own health and protection every time we trigger him, so we never get another shot. Yeah. I get recommitted, but when we have those high stacks of anguish, it's just Maul's in a mode where Maul can recover any of the damage that we do. And you can see how quickly Maul's getting those stacks of anguish. It's like just consistent. Yeah, we didn't even go for the timeout because that's where it was heading. What did I do? Show this one too. This is Jawa's. Jawas, if you have really good Jawas, they'll work. My Jawas are not really good Jawas. But you can see the mechanics of how it would work. Like it was over too quick. But it was there. Like, I'll have a relic Jawa. I'm not going to use relic Jawa. I wish Jawa required like a relic Jawa scavenger. That would be great. Because relic Jawas, that's the one I least want a relic. It's fine though. Yeah, this is a disaster. Did I not get the ships? I'm pretty sure I got the ships. Alright. No, we're calling it there. I did not clear those teams because after burning squads in various ways and not thinking through what I was doing with Maul, I just throw more and more teams at that wall, and it's a complete waste. I throw everything there, and it never does anything. But that's the rest of that match. We never got the ships. I thought I must have been a different video I was looking at. Maybe match 3, and confused myself. But we're getting caught up on the videos. I'll have match 3 coming up soon after that. I don't think I need to re-record audio for that one. I just need to edit a bunch of parts together. Jawa's got a little involved in that match and mucked things up. And then the first match of week 2, I unfortunately did not have enough time for. So I needed to I had meetings and stuff. I was hoping to get back home to record, and I ultimately had to play that one on my phone and could not capture any footage. And I didn't even have enough time to finish the match. But I don't think I would have won it anyway. We'll talk more about that one in a separate video. But happy to be back at it. We'll try and finish September off strong. Number of ideas I want to get out. But thank you for watching. Be safe out there, everyone. Be excellent to each other. This is still Plays Galaxy of Heroes.